Hey guys, welcome back to more political chatter. Sorry if the audio isn't great, but this is breaking news that I have to cover right now because we have a poll from an A plus rated pollster, Atlas Intel. They got the 2024 election spot on, and they just released a brand new 2028 Democratic primary poll where for the first time ever, Kamala Harris places second. She is behind Pete Buttigieg, who has leapfrogged in front of her. Why? I don't know. Someone like Cory Booker, that would make sense with his record breaking filibuster speech. He has been surging as well, but not in the lead. AOC would make sense. She's touring the country with Bernie on their Stop Oligarchy tour. Pete Buttigieg, though, is the one who apparently is surging and has leapfrogged ahead of Kamala Harris. Now, this is significant, obviously, because Kamala Harris is the former vice president, and she has led in every single poll so far. As you can see, these first two polls, it's the Alice Intel, and then a poll from Data for Progress, which we're about to get to, where Harris wasn't included, so we don't need to look at that. But as you can see, in all of these previous polls besides those two, Kamala Harris has had huge leads, and it has been shrinking for days now. As you can see in a Data for Progress poll released yesterday, she's only ahead of Buttigieg by 4 points. But before that, you could see she was up 28. In second was Cory Booker at 11. That's a 17-point gap. Ahead of Pete by 14 in this Yale poll. AOC was in second. She was only ahead by 7 in that one. But just a stunning result here to finally see Kamala Harris broken. She's done. She is in second place now. It's amazing how rapidly she fell in this primary polling, but it really certifies that she will not run for president in 2028. It would be one thing if Harris was demolishing everyone else in every single poll, and essentially the nomination was hers if she wanted it. However, that clearly is not the case now. Now she's actually starting to lose in polling to someone like Pete Buttigieg, who isn't even really active within the party. So this decline, obviously it appears that there was a major recency bias in these early primary polls that had Kamala Harris up. And as we start to drift away and leaders emerge within the party, people are louder, and whatever, and people get more attention. Kamala Harris's supporters in these polls are leaving for other people, and that makes total sense because Harris isn't doing anything herself. She's quiet. She's not giving any public speeches, not making many at all public appearances. So she clearly doesn't really want this. And it appears that she's going to run for governor of California. It'd be one thing if she was leading this primary, and it was her nomination if she wanted it. But now the fact that she would actually have to struggle for a primary victory at that, let alone what will happen in the general election, I don't know. She would not want to take that risk for her own personal reasons, right? She doesn't want to risk losing a primary. That would embarrass her political career forever in the history books. But also, she's got California wide open. There was a poll released just today where she was at like 50% of the vote, and in second place was Katie Porter at like 8. So she could easily win that California gubernatorial race. Oh, and what I was going to say before, I think actually cares, about losing to a Republican. I think she would actually, take it personally and really be hurt forever personally if she were to run for president again and win the nomination and it result in another Republican victory. I read a book about the 2020 primary, Democratic primary, which she ran in, and she apparently it was really a fear throughout her whole campaign, and it's one of the reasons why she ended it really early, even though she had a lot of support, was the fact that she did not believe that she could beat Donald Trump, and if she did win the nomination and lose to Donald Trump in 2020, she would have just been so embarrassed, so disheartened, and would have been, just sickened to her stomach for the rest of her life. That is what the book reported on, at least. What was it called? Um, I forget. I have no idea what it was. But all in all, every single sign is pointing towards Harris not running for president. We need more polls without Harris running to see where the race stands. Well, we have one. It being from what Data for Progress. Pete Buttigieg also leads that. So essentially, we have a new frontrunner for the 2028 nomination, Pete Buttigieg. If I had to place a bet right now, who will be the nominee? It only makes sense for me to bet on Pete Buttigieg. He leads in this Data for Progress poll, 17%. In second place, though, is Cory Booker, who's at 14%, also tied with AOC. That is very interesting. Buttigieg, Booker, and AOC all within the margin of error. Essentially, 3 points is within the margin of error. So those are our top competitors, really. Looking at 2028 without Harris, which can't say is too good of a field for Democrats. I think Pete Buttigieg would be an incredibly weak candidate. I think that Booker could win, but he is nothing near the strongest the Democrats could put up. I can't comment on AOC too much because my personal opinions interfere with it. What I mean by that is that I personally, because my personal politics as a Democratic Socialist, I would like to risk putting AOC up as the nominee in the general election because I'd be willing to risk that for the greatness, really, she would pursue as president. But I know, so, I would tell the Democratic Party, yes, nominate her because I think that risk is worth it. But in terms of simple electability in 2028, you'd be lying if you said that she was one of the strongest candidates. So these three very weak candidates, just looking at the 2024 election, again, I have further opinions about AOC. I would like to see it, but you get what I mean. After that is Newsom at 10. There he is. Boom. Tim Walz at 7. Not bad. Josh Shapiro at 6. Still continues to pull very poorly. Whitmer and Pritzker tied at 4. Amy Klobuchar and good old Jon Stewart pulls in another 3%. Jon Stewart is actually starting to get consistently pulled. I mean, look. I mean, he's in these Wikipedia charts. It is really amazing to see Jon Stewart actually, get polled really frequently and him actually get 3%, 2%, even 1%. That is good for his grassroots, supporters there. Andy Bashir at 2, Mark Cuban at 2, Chris Murphy at 2, at 1, Crockett, Moore, Warnock, Stephen A. Smith, Sean Fain, all at less than 1%. Let's keep Stephen A. Smith right there. We do not want to see him get any higher. So according to this poll, top candidates, Pete, Booker, AOC. And then overall with Harris, you have Pete and Harris in that really top tier. Below that, just a little bit, is AOC at 16. Again, 16% is a lot of Democrats. Another incredibly good poll for AOC. It looks more and more likely that she will run. Cory Booker is at 9. Not too bad for him. Whitmer at 9. That is a lot higher than we've been seeing. Newsom at 7. Bashir at 2. Warnock 2. Murphy 2. Nunn at 2. So, that being said, that's where things stand right now. Again, make sure to click the link in the bio, not bio, the description of the video and the comments. Turn Left Merch is once again sponsoring this video. They sell anti-Trump merchandise, leftist, progressive, liberal, some really good designs. Click on all items there to see, they've got a lot of stuff. So look there. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all later.